Well, it's massive, obviously. There's a lot at stake, and we've put ourselves in a really good position. We've had a great week's training. We've not been complacent. Nobody taking their eye off the ball. Nobody taking anything for granted. Just trying to keep the high standards, and hopefully that'll reflect in the performance tomorrow.
What have you said to your players? Because obviously there's a few sort of ifs and buts, but I mean, if you can go out and win tomorrow, you'll but win the title.
Yeah, I mean, the message has been that nothing is done yet. Nothing is confirmed, and whatever is being said in the press or whatever is being said online by different sets of supporters, as a group, we've tried to remind ourselves that there's still a job to be done, and we want to try and win the league, and we want to try and win it in style. We want to continue the good performances that we've shown in recent weeks. Defensively we've been solid, we've been scoring plenty of goals, and we're expecting a big turnout here tomorrow. Lots of Dundee United supporters coming along to watch their team, and we want to entertain them as well. So it all sets up for a great weekend, but the onus is on us to make sure we get the job done.
And what would it mean to you if you can get the job done and win the title this weekend outright? And obviously for yourself in terms of planning for next season to get it done as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about what it's going to feel like until it's actually achieved, to be honest with you, because I think we've all been in the game long enough to know that things can turn very quickly. So the most important thing for me is that the players have trained really well this week, been really professional throughout. The standards and the intensity that you would expect in training have been there. Nobody's coming off it. As I said, we want to continue the good run of form that we're on. We've got 3 games left. We're going into all 3 of these games with the mindset of trying to win every one of them. And that starts tomorrow against Ayr United. I was down watching them against Arbroath last weekend. They had a fantastic result. Scott's got them really well organised. They've got some dangerous players in their team as well, and we have to make sure that we're on it and everybody's doing their jobs. And if we do that, then we give ourselves a good chance of getting the job done.
You're so close to returning to the Premiership. I mean, how much do you feel that you've got the team here and the nucleus of a team here that can go on and compete in the Premiership?
Again, I don't want to talk about the Premier League. I don't want to talk about celebrations. We haven't done anything yet. It's as simple as that. If we get the job done tomorrow, then we can have all of those conversations later on. But I'm delighted with what the group have achieved up to now. Put ourselves in a great position. As far as I'm concerned, we are where we should be and where I think everybody would expect us to be. So we're not looking for too many pats on the back. But it has been a long season, and it would be a great achievement from the group if we can achieve what that objective was way back at the start of the season.
And it could be all but done following tonight's game in Inverness. I mean, you'll have one eye on that game tonight. Yeah,
looking forward to watching the game tonight. Obviously, Inverness had a great result last weekend. They're fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. A positive result for them up there would open the gap between themselves and Queen's Park and distance themselves a little bit from that playoff spot. So Inverness have got a lot riding on it, as have Raith Rovers. So it's a very difficult away game, no doubt, and Ian Murray will be wanting a good performance from his players as well, no doubt. The chat in their dressing room will be about applying pressure to ourselves with a positive result, but at the same time Duncan Ferguson will be looking for a similar performance to the one that he got last weekend. So it makes for a decent game, and I'll certainly be tuning in.
And there's going to be a huge home support here tomorrow. I mean, how important is that going to be for Dundee United?
Well, they've been massive all season. They've travelled on the road in great numbers. They've been a credit to the club, and here at home, I think we've probably averaged around about 7,500, 8,000 most weeks. Against Raith Rovers we had in excess of 11,000, I think, and tomorrow we're anticipating a similar kind of number. So it shows you that the supporters are there, that they're behind their team, they're pleased with what they've seen up to now, and they understand what's at stake, and they play a huge part. When they get behind the team and they encourage the players, they really can make a difference. So hopefully we can give them a good performance tomorrow, a few more goals as well to celebrate, and then fingers crossed everything else after that will take care of itself.
Thank you.
Jim, what would it mean to Dundee United to get back to the Premiership?
Well, listen, we're obviously a massive club with a great history, and it's a club with facilities and infrastructure and supporters that, as far as I'm concerned, should be in the Premier League. Last season was an extremely disappointing one for everybody connected to the club, and this season we've worked hard in the summer. We've had to obviously balance the books. There's been a lot of big players had to leave in the summer. We've had to build a squad that's competitive for the Championship, and we've put ourselves in a great position at this moment in time, sitting top of the table. A bit of a gap between us and second place, with only a few games to play. So, we're on track to achieve what that main objective was at the start of the campaign. But as I said, the message has always been to the group that nothing is done yet, and we have to make sure we don't take our eye off the ball.
You mentioned that you've had to balance the books this season. Have you had any conversations with the powers that be here about, the prospect of being back in the Premiership, how that might impact on your budgets and the resources you have available to work with for next season?
Listen, we wouldn't be doing our jobs properly if we weren't, planning for what the future looks like, and having contingency plans in place. And I've had great support from the directors and from the chairman and from Luigi, and they've done everything that I've asked of them this summer in terms of the financial backing that they've given me in order to put this squad together. And yeah, of course those discussions do take place, but we don't like to talk about it too often because we never like to tempt fate. We have to make sure we get the job done first, and if that happens this weekend, then great. Then we can really start talking about what next season looks like. But we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We want to make sure that we stay focused on the job in hand, and that is tomorrow against Ayr United.
Obviously your neighbours have had a great season in the Premiership. If you look across the road at the campaign that they've had in the top divisions, has that whetted your and Dundee United's appetite to get back there and really make a mark next season? Definitely.
Listen, and fair play to Tony Docherty in his first year as an outright manager. Obviously he's got a great experience in the game as being a number two to Derek McInnes for a long time. But look, they've had a good season. Coming up, getting promoted, and then forcing our way into the top six with a chance of getting European football next season. Full credit to Tony, his backroom team, and the players up there. But I think everybody connected with Scottish football wants all of the big clubs involved in the top league. From a marketing perspective and from just an overall footballing spectacle. I think having the Dundee derbies back, having the Edinburgh derbies, the Glasgow derbies, I think that's what Scottish football is renowned for, and that's certainly an added incentive to why we want to make sure that we achieve what we set out to do at the beginning of the season.
Just finally, Jim, obviously you've got a number of players out of contract in the summer. Is there any update in terms of conversations you're having, or any of these players closer to signing new deals, or have you made decisions yet about next season?
No, we have been quite honest with the group at the beginning of the season and again in January. I understand what it's like to be a player, going into the last few months of your contract and that uncertainty, but they understand that we're not in a position to have those conversations because we haven't done what we set out to do yet, and we don't know what league we're going to be in, and that's always been the message. And the players have been very professional and understanding of that situation, and once we get the season done and we achieve what we set out to do at the beginning, then we can have all of those conversations.
Jim, obviously getting back to the top flight is what really matters, but the guys are playing really well at the moment. How important is it to do it with a bit of style, a bit of panache, rather than just kind of stumble over the line?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we've discussed. I think we've been playing really well of late. We've been really clinical in front of goal. Defensively, we've been solid. There's been a lot of positives throughout the course of the season. A lot of younger players, becoming involved in the senior game and actually holding down places in the team. There's plenty for us to reflect back on when the season is done, and hopefully that will be with a league title in the bag.
Great, thanks.
Looking at the form guide from the start of the year, the top four performing teams are Ayr United, Airdrie, Partick Thistle and Dundee United. Where that might be exciting for the neutral looking in, it certainly puts it back to yourself, obviously, to a really exciting finish.
Yeah, I think the league has been really, really competitive all season. I think, as I said at the beginning, nobody, I don't think, would be too surprised that we're in the position that we're in. And that's what I said. We're not, wanting too many plaudits or pats on the back. I still think there's a difficult job in hand, and obviously the pressures of being favourite and that level of expectation is something that the group has had to carry throughout the course of the campaign. But credit to Raith Rovers for the season that they have had up to now. Airdrie, Rhys McCabe, young manager, I think has done terrific. The way that his team play as well, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. I don't think it's any surprise for Partick Thistle. Chris Doolan's done great, but Partick Thistle have always been in and around the mix of the playoffs over the last few years, and obviously had major disappointment last season, and they'll be wanting to make amends for that, no doubt, this time round. But it has been a really challenging campaign. I'm just delighted that my players were able to handle that level of scrutiny that came on us. We had a little bit of a blip around about the start of the third quarter. But credit to the group. Shows you good signs for the character that's in there as well, that they can get through that difficult period and finish the season as strongly as what they have done up to now. And we want to finish the season in style. We want to win the next 3 games. I think you look at what we're sitting on right now in terms of our points tally at 68 points. It's 5 points more than what Dundee won the league with last season. So I think that shows you how well the players have done, still with 9 points to play for. So we've got a lot of different incentives out there. We want to set a really good points tally. We want to try and win the league in style. We know it's not going to be easy, but the players have certainly given themselves a great opportunity to do that.
Does tonight's result in Inverness at all affect what you do tomorrow?
It won't affect our approach to the game. It won't affect the way that we set up as a team. Obviously we know the ramifications of what way the results can go. If Raith Rovers don't win tonight, then if Inverness win the game, then obviously the league is over. But there's still professionalism at stake. There's still standards, everything that we've spoken about there previously, players' contracts and futures at stake. And we won't be taking our foot off the gas. We want to finish the season in style. We want to finish it strongly, and we want to set a good points total.
Team news for tomorrow?
We're in not bad shape, to be fair. Declan Gallagher's made good progress this week. If he comes through this morning's session, then there's a chance to be maybe involved in the squad for tomorrow. But we won't be, making wholesale changes. The team is pretty much picking itself at the moment, given the level of performances in the recent games.